Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Winterville Town Council meeting tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And before we get into the invocation, if we could all take a moment and do a little silent prayer for all neighbors to the east down there that lost a bunch of kids. And I know we all have kids, and it weighed on me today myself. I know that's tough. If you could take a second or two and just say a prayer, please.
He attended our church team. He was carrying him duck hunting, I believe. They found the bodies yet?
I think found one. I saw on the news tonight. One. Found one body so far.
He's a good man. In my Sunday school class for years.
Could bow all heads in prayer, please. Silent prayer. Okay. Thank you all. And welcome to everybody that's watching us streaming. And happy Valentine's to Miss Robinson and Miss Parker and all the ladies out in the audience. Glad y'all could be here with us on Valentine's Day. On Valentine's night.
We've all been waiting. We just can't wait.
Okay. Our invocation is going to be brought to us by Pastor Darren Carmen with Rebuild It Christian Center Church. And Mr. Carmen, if you come to the mic.
Let us pray. Father, we just thank you, first of all, for just an opportunity just to be present, considering the times in which we now live. It's just a blessing to be able to wake up from one day to the next. And so, Father, I just pray, God, that your grace, all of the staff, those that have been hired and employed to watch over this great city, I pray that you would strengthen them, strengthen the mayor, strengthen the council members, strengthen everyone, strengthen the town manager, God, strengthen the officers, strengthen everybody to be able to do their job with grace and with excellence and with love. I pray, God, that our chief motivation would be love for mankind. I pray, God, that you will govern us and help us and cover us and just keep us safe and just keep us on one accord so that unity can grow. I pray, God, that this community would grow, that we would grow in love, and that we would be able to stand with one another. And so, Father, we give you praise today that we're able to be in the position and the capacity in which we are today. I pray, God, that there'll be great influence as we move forward. I pray, Father, that you will continue to guide and grant wisdom in Jesus' name, because no one can do it like you can. And so, God, we give you praise today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And thank you again, Pastor Carmen. If we can all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I did the welcome, but welcome again. Welcome, and welcome. And with that said, next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So move. Second.
Okay, Mr. Councilman Moy with the motion to approve the agenda, second by Councilman Smith. Any changes?
No, sir.
Okay. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, next up, we have proclamations.
Evening, everyone, and we do have several proclamations this evening, and I do want to read them because they all bear importance of sharing with everyone. First, I'd like to share is Black History Month. Whereas much of the town of Winterville's honor, strength, and stature can be attributed to the diversity of cultures and traditions that are celebrated by the residents of this great region. And whereas February has been designated as Black History Month, in which we pause to reflect on the contributions of the African American community and we recognize this year's Black History Month theme of Black health and wellness. And whereas African Americans have played significant roles in the history of North Carolina state economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development while working tirelessly to maintain and promote their culture and history. And whereas a result of their determination, hard work, intelligence, and perseverance, African Americans have worked tirelessly to maintain and promote a valuable and lasting contribution to the town of Winterville, our state and nation, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, economy, culture, science, arts, and history. And whereas this observance affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our nation and community. Whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and the continuing struggle against racial discrimination and poverty. And whereas we join with all Americans in celebrating our diverse heritage and culture and continuing our efforts to protect democracy for all people and recognizing the vital achievements of our local African American residents. And now therefore be it resolved that I do hereby proclaim the month of February 2022 as Black History Month and express special commendation to the dedicated volunteers who have labored so diligently to make this observance a reality in our community. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 14th day of February 2022. The second proclamation we have is in recognizing Pastor Carmen, who we heard from earlier. Whereas Pastor Carmen, a man of God who has devoted his life and the love of Christ to people, and his hard work is demonstrated in the outcome of his effectiveness in the church as well as in the community. And whereas Pastor Carmen has been relentless to confront problems with a solution as an extraordinarily gifted and generously anointed. And whereas Pastor Carmen is pastoring 2 churches he established and other programs designed to heal and offset what has gone wrong, has fed the hungry and answered the greatest problems in our community. And whereas Pastor Carmen is the founder of the Secono Mentoring Program, within he works closely with children that range from 3 years old to young adult, which has a breathtaking 100% success rate. And whereas Pastor Carmen has stepped in line of abuse and neglect to protect the children and rent a gym weekly to host free events and provide an alternative to just hanging in the streets. And whereas Pastor Carmen is also the founder of People Against Racism, which has spoken to issues that most shy away from and is designed to take a stand against injustice, racism, and police brutality. And whereas Pastor Carmen gets involved and helps any individual to get a fair trial and provide counseling to those in jail. And whereas Pastor Carmen has gracefully pioneered the success of 2 murals, which has brought peace and unity to the community. And whereas Pastor Carmen is the reason many are not dead and has advanced and become more strategic at getting real-time results. He has talked people off the bridge, changed people's mental status, and erased the diagnosis. And whereas Pastor Carmen is an exceptional pastor and leader right in our community, making it better and safer for all, a man consistently jumping in the water to save people, the shining light on negative news, and a hero for his many acts. And whereas we celebrate Pastor Carmen as Hero of the Year for 2022 in recognition for his outstanding service. And now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the Town of Winterville, hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to extend this proclamation of recognition in celebrating Pastor Darren Carmen. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 14th day of February, 2022. Next proclamation is for former town manager here that died recently. It's in memory of William Bill Wisnant. Whereas on behalf of the town of Winterville, we wish to record our sorrow over the passing of William Bill Wisnant on February 4th, 2022, at the age of 81. And whereas Bill leaves behind a legacy of kindness and service to others, however, most important to him was his unceasing devotion to his wife Joan and his family. And whereas Bill was born in Gastonia, North Carolina, on August 26, 1940, whereas Bill is a graduate of UNC Chapel Hill and holds a Master of Governmental Administration from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, and whereas Bill started his career in local government working for the city of Durham, North Carolina, for 14 years. He then built homes and developed residential subdivisions in the Durham area for 18 years, thus retiring from building. And whereas Bill moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, to serve as deputy city manager for 8 years. And whereas Bill then, wanting to be the manager, he served for 8 years as the town manager of Winterville from December 2002 until retiring in August 2010. Whereas Bill's service to the town was distinguished by the construction of the Operations Center, Public Safety Building, Winterville Library, and expansion of Town Hall and the Winterville Recreation Park. And whereas Bill was a man of many talents and skills, from complex woodworking, landscape design, an avid reader and historian, enjoying his book club and lifelong learning programs in Greenville. An Eagle Scout and lifelong supporter of scouting, he enjoyed his yearly reunions with fellow Piedmont Council counselors, and whereas the town of Winterville is blessed to have known him and been a part of his life, whereas the town of Winterville and its citizens honor Bill for his distinguished service and unwavering commitment to the town of Winterville and surrounding community. And now, therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the town of Winterville, on behalf of the entire town council, in recognition of the many contributions of Bill to our town and its citizens, do hereby express our deep appreciation for his dedication to the progress of the community and extend to his family our sincere sympathy upon his passing. In witness thereof, I do set my hand to cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 14th day of February, 2022. Lastly, we want to honor Bronzewell Patrick. Whereas Bronzewell Patrick was born on September 16, 1970 in Greenville, North Carolina, attended D.H. Conley High School and was a star athlete. And whereas he proved to be a legendary athlete in Pitt County during the 1980s, while at Conley he excelled at football, baseball, and basketball. In baseball, he earned 1986 Pitt County Invitational MVP, All-Tournament Team, All-Coastal Conference in 1986, 1987, and 1988, and All-State First Team in 1988. And whereas in 1988, he became the first Conley athlete to be drafted professionally out of high school, when the Oakland Athletics selected him in the 23rd round of the Major League Draft, pitching in the Oakland organization until 1995. And whereas he played with the Athletics, Astros, Brewers, and Giants organizations and made his debut in 1998, picking up 4 wins and striking out 49 batters in 78 1/3 innings. And whereas his greatest impact on baseball came after his playing career was over, as he helped numerous players from around the world realize their dream of playing in the big leagues, as he served as a pitching coach in the San Diego Padres organization, working with young prospects as well as coaching in the Mexican Pacific League. And whereas his number 16 he wore at D.H. Conley High School was retired in a special ceremony at the school on Thursday, February 13th, 2020, and whereas he was inducted into the inaugural class of the D.H. Conley High School Athletics Hall of Fame during a ceremony on Friday, October 8th, 2021. And now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the Town of Winterville, do hereby honor Bronzewell Patrick for his contribution to baseball in our community, and hereby proclaim it witness whereof I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 14th day of February, 2022. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Don. And also in the audience, we have Mr. Patrick's mom and sister. If I could get y'all to come up front, I'm going to take a picture with you all. And I'll get there.
Yeah.
And also, too, this being Black History Month, I thought it was fitting that Patrick being from Winterville, being the very first African American grace the special rank. So I thought it was fitting because he's the first, like I'm the first Black mayor, so I thought it was fitting that he was proclamation. This is good play with Ronville, good play with
And Mr. Patrick is part of my family. We share a bloodline.
Yes, I'll get that. We'll get.
Thank you to all that proclamations were read for tonight. And also, to please keep Mr. Winston family in prayer also. Let's see here. Next on the agenda is public hearing. Brian?
If I may, Mayor, members of the council and public, we had a little technological issue earlier today, which prompted this sort of makeshift setup you see this evening. I do think we had some little critters that helped chew along on some of our wiring. So in order to get things working, that's why this looks like this tonight. So thank you for bearing with us.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, as always, it's a pleasure to be in front of you tonight. As stated, we do have a rezoning request before you tonight in a public hearing. So WLH Development LLC is the applicant. So the location of the property is on Church Street Extension. That's north of its intersection with Park Road, parcel number 77831. It's a little over 19 and a half acres, currently AR, and the proposed zoning district is an R10. Adjacent property owners were mailed this notification. Were mailed notification of this public hearing on January 31st, and the notice was also published in the Daily Reflector on February 2nd and February 9th, as well as a notification posted on site December 1st. You can see here outlined in blue. That's the subject property. So you can see Park Road here, Church Street Extension here, Highway 11, Old 11 right here, Mill Street. The photo of the property, you're looking, standing on Church Street Extension, looking into the property. This is the railroad crossing, Park Road going that way. This is the property here, so you can see it's all cleared. An aerial shot of it, again, Park Road here to orient you, Old 11, Church Street Extension. There's the Shrine Club right here. Overlay of the boundary, you can see that outlined in blue there. That's what they're proposing. The current zoning, it is AR, so you can see to the north of it some commercial property. Got some R12.5 with Holly Grove subdivision over here. This is what we call the UNC land over here. It's still AR. The existing land use map, it's just a vacant agricultural land. They are tending it. The future land use plan shows this as a suburban residential character area. So suburban residential is primarily the larger lot, single family, detached residential. This is one that many people love about the town's housing stock, generally 2 to 3 dwelling units per acre. Larger lots with front and side loaded garages, so smaller lot sizes can be there occasionally if minimum standards for open space are met. So obviously we like to look in our land use plan and do a deep dive on what this actually means. So the typical components would be 1 to 3 acres, 1 to 3 units per acre. Lot coverage will be low, 1 to 2 stories at a maximum 2 stories. Off-street with parking, obviously. You got sidewalks, just one side here. So, and then potential zoning, you can see R20, R15, R12.5, R10, which is what the request is, and R8 if additional open space is met. We always like to point out, our strategies and recommendations in our plan. So the big one here that we like to point out is policy 3 of our economic development, reinforce the town's identity as a family-friendly community, and that just really means supporting rezonings in the residential uses in the suburban residential and urban neighborhood character areas. So, and obviously, as stated before, this is a suburban residential character area. The staff recommendations, planning staff does find that this request is reasonable in the public interest because the proposed zoning district is compatible with surrounding land uses in the future land use plan. So staff does recommend approval of the request to rezone 19.62 acres from AR to R10.
Brian,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry to interrupt,
No.
but just to clarify, to make sure there's no confusion.
Sure.
Can you show where this property is related to the previous property owned by David Evans? Just so folks don't think it's the
So,
same project.
yep. So David Evans' property here, so that would be where you saw the Blueberry subdivision preliminary plat proposal would be here. So again, Park Road here, south of Park Road. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better shot, but that's
And the property in question tonight is on the other side of Park Road.
right north of Park Road.
Thank you.
So,
So does this include anything with Park Road being developed or being?
potentially, yes. And I'll speak to that to a little bit. So to Mayor Hines' credit, he's been beating the bushes. He's getting some politicians involved. So we do know there's some talk between DOT and our representatives at the state level to try to get some monies associated or allocated for this pavement. They've actually done an estimated workup of how much it's going to cost, so they know what the costs are going to be incurred. So hopefully DOT will pony up and try to get this done. Also, the developer has been in talks with DOT, so those obviously wrap around the same discussions, having DOT go in and do it. So with this going, the rezoning, obviously, there's no development proposal. This would allow the developer, obviously, to get some preliminary plat, design going. So that would allow us as staff to recommend whether or not those connections would be viable on Park Road. Obviously, that's what we wanted. It would be in the same situation as Blueberry subdivision. I know there's some talk about abandoning the right-of-way and that railroad crossing. conversations with Terry, town manager, and we've relayed this to the developer as well, that that's not an option that we want to pursue. We don't want to lose that access. We know that that access can be a pivotal point for development in that area. So we know not only that we have the Evans property to the south, the WLH property to the north, but we also have some development going on to the east with the UNC property. So we really want to see that get developed, whether or not it's a DOT project or whether or not it's a developer-initiated project. We want to make sure that that project happens. It's been sitting there long enough for a dirt road. DOT knows our position, so obviously that's what we want to do. Any questions about that at this point? I know, trust me, I get.
You know how I feel about promises
100%.
DOT might or might not make.
Well, and you, obviously, it would probably go down the same road as the preliminary plat for Blueberry. So when we're trying to review that on a staff level, this is one of the things that obviously we were trying to get in front of with this one. We know where we're at on the Blueberry subdivision, so we know the council's feelings on trying to adjoin to a dirt road.
But you know where this goes, it builds out, the road's not done, and everybody living out there starts coming to the board meetings, and guess what they want us to do? They want us to spend all that money to pave that road.
Right.
And Mark, that's the reason why I jumped on it and trying to make sure that we utilize our representatives. So I've been talking with everybody that represents us in this area because we need that road paved. And with the growth that we're having, it's important that we get it paved. So, it's only a short stretch, and, that's what I think the people elected me to do, to get there, to beat the bushes, and that's what I'm doing.
So, but the developer's not gonna spend any money to develop that road?
I don't know. That's still on the table as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the town should be concerned as well. I don't know how they'll work that out, but I've met with the developers in person, so we sat in that room in the conference room, and we made it known that the town's position is for that road to be paved. So. But I'll say, again, this is just for the rezoning, so this just allows them to start developing their preliminary plat, their design. So they've got, not only is there an obstacle with the road, there's going to be some issues with the gas line easement going through there too. So they got some design stuff to get through. So for them to figure out what they got to do, they got to know what their smallest lot's going to be. So I will say that during our rezoning process, the Planning and Zoning Board did unanimously recommend approval of the rezoning. So we're at the point now where council is going to hold a public hearing. But before you do that, I'll answer any questions. I haven't received any comments. As I stated before, we did send out adjacent property owner notifications. I haven't received any comments, yay or nay, as far as this goes. But other than that, I'll answer any more questions you got of me. I will say that Stroud, Richie Brown with Stroud is here if you got any technical questions. So Stroud is the engineer for this project.
What is the approximate cost for the street or road?
I'm shooting off the hip. I think it was around $380,000. I don't know the exact. Do you remember? Is that right, Mayor?
I thought it was somewhere around 330, but
Okay.
I mean.
It could have been. Yeah. That could have been 330, but it's between $300,000 and $400,000. And that was from DOT's engineering staff. So that's their design concepts. That's their design standards, and that was their estimated cost.
You know, I have an understanding that some of the money that's coming down from federal government can be used for economic growth in your community. There's no way none of this could be possible?
That's what I'm pushing them on, Ms. Robertson, with all this highway money and everything else. And and that's why I'm asking the question, why can't we use it here? Why can't we use it on this road? It's a dirt road in a town that's growing vastly fast, and I don't see too many dirt roads still around, So why is this one? And one said that it was way down the list, and because it's less used, but I wouldn't take that answer. I went to the next person. The next person told me we'll talk with the DOT engineer, and so that's where we're at now, and I'm waiting on that response, and whatever response I get from there, I'm going somewhere else.
You talked to Representative Humphrey?
He's next on my list, right.
He'd already agreed to do it earlier, but he's no longer, we don't know what the map's gonna say yet, but he
Right.
would be the one. He, how about the MPO board, he mentioned,
I haven't mentioned it to the MPO board. I did leave a message for Thomas Taft to get in contact with me. I've spoken with Senator Davis' office, Representative Farkas, so I'm going right down the chain, and I want the citizens to know that we're working hard to try to get that road.
our representative would be Smith. That district is Humphrey, so there's two people. And of course, Davis, there's three. Fargus, it's not Fargus's district. So
Well, he's helping, so anybody I can get some help from, I'm taking it.
I just want to make sure that the plans are that you will have a different exit besides just one exit to be able to go in and out of it. Is that correct? Exit will be on the dirt, on the dirt street right now.
This is just the rezoning, so
I
there's
know,
no
but-
development proposal. We would address ingress and egress exits and entrances the same way that we have in previous projects.
Wait till we get to that point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that'll be, obviously, with the, if this is approved, that'll give them the ability to design their subdivision, lay it out with the lot layout, and then the entrance, ingress, egress with access on Park Road and access on Church Street as well.
Just trying to keep the processes separate.
Yeah, and that'll be obviously a totally separate process. You guys will see those plans in full detail. So we'll take it to our technical review committee when the time comes.
You think we could get the economic board involved there with this, as far as, say, a letter of support for this project or something, to move it up the list?
I want it, which board?
The county, the
The
economic development board.
folks. We can certainly, if council wants us, we can send whatever letter of support you all want to whatever organization.
I'm thinking that they would get behind it and give us a little bit of a, more weight on our efforts to get it done, as far as that's concerned.
So with that, we're ready for the public hearing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I declare the public hearing now open for the rezoning request. If you would like to speak in favor of the request, if you'll please step to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Richie Brown with Stroud Engineering. Our address is 107B Commerce Street in Greenville. Brian's covered pretty much everything from the zoning aspect. Just wanted to stand up and speak in favor of this rezoning for Mr. Evans on this piece of property. And if there's any way I can try to answer any preliminary questions, I'll be glad to.
Anyone have any questions? Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Okay. Anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this rezoning request? Again, if there's anyone out there who would like to speak in opposition of this zoning request, please step forward. Okay, if there is none, I declare the public hearing closed. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
I second.
Got a motion for approval by Mr. Moore, and a second by Mr. Moy. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next up, we have our public hearing. And, I'm sorry, public comment, I'm sorry. Forgive me. And we do have someone sign up for our public comment period. And when you come to the podium for our public comment section here, be mindful that you have 3 minutes to speak on your topic. Okay? And Ms. Cherie Ford, hope I pronounced that right. Okay. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to the council, and thank you. My name is Sharice Boyd, and I just wanted to bring to the town meeting, I'm not certain if this is the right forum, but if it is not, you can assist me on how I can get my issue of concern addressed. Back when Boyd Street was getting reconstructed, the sidewalks, the Boyd Street sign that's directly across the street from W.H. Robinson, it was certainly taken down, as it should have been, like all the other signs, when the construction was underway. Since that time, the Boyd Street sign has not been erected back across the street from W.H. Robinson. And with the type of work that I do, oftentimes I'm referring parents to W.H. Robinson because they're relocating to our town of Winterville. And it would be a benefit if that sign can be erected back up where it was prior to the construction. And it would be it's a good identity landmark when they're searching for W.H. Robinson or looking for Boyd Street. Thank you for letting me address my concern.
Thank you. And we got it. Okay, we'll be getting on that. Thank you.
And can I
Yes.
make a comment? Ms. Boyd has been hosting a Black History program every Saturday on Awesome Radio, and it's been dealing with the history of Winterville. And last Saturday, the mayor and I were two of the people on the, I guess I say agenda or whatever, but we participated in it.
Yes.
And I invite these citizens here and the citizens everywhere to tune in on Saturday to share some of their history of Winterville. And we do appreciate you putting our town, you know, in the spotlight like that by sharing the history of the Black residents of Winterville during the month of February. We thank you, we thank Awesome Radio. And her family is part of the Boyd family that lives now on Boyd Street. So we thank you for your contribution in many ways.
Thank you,
Great.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Thank you.
If it's permittable, I have the Awesome Radio cards, and anyone can feel free to take them. I'll put them in the lobby, and you can certainly tune in. We are focusing on the town of Winterville for the entire Black History Month.
That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Saturday at 3.
And it was an awesome show. I learned some awesome things about all the street names right here. Thank you to Ms. Robinson.
Yeah, I did some brainstorming. I had to write it down. Did not come from memory, just so. Had a nice little cheat sheet.
All right. Next up is the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Okay, got a motion to approve the agenda by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Councilman Smith. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Old business. Old business. Update and discussion on the Winterville Human Relation Board. Ms. Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the council, we've got some business to finish where the Human Relations Board is concerned, some logistical type information, and then at such time as you all are ready, we have included applications for people who are interested in being appointed to this board, and certainly you all may have other folks in mind as well. But in your packet, just to remind everyone that you all created the Human Relations Board by ordinance in November of 2020 and subsequently approved the bylaws in their current form. It was still missing some information you all will hopefully decide on either tonight or in the very near future, you all approved those bylaws in April of 2021. So what's remaining to complete the bylaws would be to set a meeting date once a month and the time and place for that meeting. There is a time commitment statement in there. So council would need to try to, for any members, people involved with the Human Relations Board, if you want to set a minimum for the time commitment that you would like the members to participate in, we would fill that out, and then choose the type of rules of procedure. I think it's referencing Robert's rules, but if you will recall, council has its own set of rules of procedure for small boards, and you could certainly have the Human Relations Board put together a very similar type set of rules of procedures because they are specific to small boards. I would remind everybody, the membership, I think the mayor and each council member appoints one person to the board. There are staggered terms of office, and council may also appoint up to 2 high school and 2 college/university students, student representatives. They're non-voting members, but just so that they can be a part of and
We need to set a term, how long to be on,
now, their staggered terms already set, so
Staggered,
when you decide which members will be on the board, you'll need to decide who's filling what term. And that's all included, and I tried to highlight in the bylaws in yellow, so it sort of stand out. But in section 1, the terms are outlined there. 2 members for a 1-year term, 2 members for a 2-year term, 2 members for a 3-year term.
how many voting members are?
There would be the 6 voted
6.
by,
How many applications did we have tonight?
let's see, you have, give me one moment. I believe, Don, you may want to help me. 1, 2, 3.
You got 5 applicants.
And of course, that would be each person on the board appointing someone. So either from the applications you've received, or if you already have someone else in mind. And I
Ms.
realize-
Parker,
I'm sorry. Yes.
those are you might want to tell them that those are the ones that either had the Human Relations Board as number 1 or their only choice. There are others on file
Thank you,
that
Don.
maybe had Human Relations as their second one or even a third one.
We did
as-
include those because you have other appointments tonight, and they had other boards as their number 1, so we chose
That's
to
right.
let you focus on those for whatever their number 1 choice was.
I noticed one person, the application in 19, is that person we called, make sure they said interest, applied for position 2019.
Yes, when we first started conversation of this, there were some people that submitted applications immediately at that point. And
Person was
I
not. Can I
have
speak?
not, but contacted them since that time. But if that were someone that you wanted to use, we would obviously always go back and contact them again. Excuse me, Ms. Rowe.
19 for the Human Relations Board?
2019. No, this is in general.
Submitted it in 2019.
Not for that board, but other boards.
Your other boards, yes. The young lady who did that one was here tonight, so I'm quite sure she's still interested in being appointed to a board. Some of these people want to get involved in town government.
Well, we definitely have some opportunities for that, so that's a great thing.
Yes.
And again, I know that this is kind of circling back around to an important endeavor, and it has several pieces of information. So if council's not prepared tonight, at least I've tried to outline specifically what's left to be decided upon in addition to the membership. So let me know how I can help assist you all in getting prepared to move forward, and we'll make that happen.
I think the council, we need to set the first meeting of the Human Relations Board, set the date for that. But of course, we need a board to set a date for it. You know, I know, I'm not being funny, but.
No.
You need appointments to a board to set a date.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
think we set the first date, then let them meet and see if that date, time is convenient for them, and they set the date for future meetings. I also think that this board shouldn't, should go by the rules and procedures of all the other boards of the town. I think that would be in keeping it consistent, with the boards. I don't know if planning, zoning, recreation, I think they kind of follow Robert's Rules of Order somewhat, kind of abbreviated somewhat based on the meetings I've been to.
I think the challenge is probably Robert's Rules, because I don't know if an alternative's ever been presented. That can be, as you well know, very complicated
Very
and hard to follow. That's why the School of Government came out with the rules of procedure for small boards, which you all have adopted your format. And my suggestion would be all of the volunteer boards, maybe look at something
Following
that's a
that.
little more straightforward. And it kind of fits what we do versus, what a parliament.
And I had some training with that booklet put out by them, and I think that all of us that were on board at that time have a copy of it. I know Mr. Rice doesn't have a copy.
Yes,
I
we'll
don't
get
know-
Mr. Rice one, and I know we got one for everybody, but if
Yeah.
anybody needs a copy, let me know.
But I think that would be the best way to do it, is
Okay.
that all the boards follow the same rules and procedures, and that way we'll be consistent.
Who would be the appointed member from the town?
The staff member would be town clerk, and then council will need to choose a liaison to the Human Relations Board amongst yourselves.
Town clerk,
Yes, sir.
liaison. What would be their responsibilities?
I think as I would see it, certainly,
Like recreation has
you would attend the
Full-time member?
meetings,
Yeah,
yes, and you would carry back and forth, I think, between each board, what's happening, what's going on, maybe suggestions council would like to see, et cetera. Because one of the requirements currently in the bylaws is that the Human Relations Board has to put together a work plan annually about what they hope to achieve, and then present that to council. So that could be a great thing for the liaison to help between
Who would you recommend?
the. I would recommend any of you all would do
can
a
go
fact.
around the bush and do whatever you want to do.
Don't say-
Yes, I would like to be the liaison.
Oh,
If there's a question,
that's fine.
yes, I would like to be.
Yeah, I'll
And
make a
I'm
motion.
not-
Thank you, Ms.
I'm not
Robertson.
shy
I thought
about
it was
it.
I thought a
Not
paid
gonna lie
member.
about
I
it.
thought a paid member. I didn't know it was gonna be a
No,
council member.
yes,
paid
I
member.
would
council
love to
member
be, I would
is a
love
pa-
to be the council liaison for that
Sure,
committee.
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay?
I didn't want to beat around the bush.
Well,
I ain't been around the bush
I
yet.
never do.
okay, all right, let's get back in order, people. All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. A motion made by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Smith, that Ms. Robinson be the liaison for our Human Relations Board. All in favor, vote by saying aye. All opposed?
And I didn't vote.
And Ms. Robinson, you're our
Put it on the record, please.
liaison for Human Relation Board. And while we're on that topic for Human Relation Board, I received a letter from the Pitt County Board of Commissions. I am now on the Human Relation Board for Pitt County. Thank you, Tony Moore.
Let's,
Yep, I was voted on and placed on the Human Relation Board, and I will be meeting with them tomorrow. They have a meeting tomorrow at 5:30. 5:30, so I'll be serving on that board, and I'm looking forward to that.
Where are you meeting at?
We're meeting at the Mark Owens Auditorium at 403 Government Circle, across the river.
near your office.
Yeah,
Well, that's far to go.
right around the corner, right? So, all right.
Ms. Robertson, shall we work towards some of the information for the other things that we have to accomplish and maybe come back before council next meeting?
I think that the council needs to, we as a council need to decide on who we're going to appoint
I agree.
to the board, because that's the major thing that we need in order to get it
Yes.
started,
I agree.
is to decide on who our appointee.
Well, I suggest that we look at these names that we have here to the council, and each council look at them and try to figure out who they would like to appoint. If they have someone else they would like to appoint, ask them to put in their application with Don, and Don will let us know, and then by the next meeting, we should be getting ready to formulate a board. How does that sound to everybody?
Sounds great, man.
If you all have any student representatives that you would also like to put their names forward, let us know.
All right, okay. All right, let's move on.
Ms. Robertson,
Yep.
anything I can do to assist, or any of y'all during this process, please just let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. All right. All right, is this you, Ms. Parker, or are we going to
I believe Mr.
Ben.
Williams
Ben Williams?
is going to get us started.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Happy Valentine's Day, evening, night, whatever. As we've previously discussed, an opportunity has presented itself for us to, in conjunction with the development of the ACES for Autism facility and the expansion of the Christ Covenant School, to extend some gravity sewer line from the new pump station over that we term Laurie Ellis lift station. That would allow us to abandon the Winterville crossing pump station that has had some issues with flooding, inundation over there, as well as just some control panel issues that we had included in this upcoming pump station rehab project, but due to the expansion of those two sites and extension of gravity, we've identified the opportunity to abandon that pump station by directing that flow from the existing Winterville Crossing pump station to the new one, be able to take that out offline, which is always good. That'll actually free up some capacity in our Forbes Avenue pump station, because that's where Winterville Crossing currently goes, and we have some issues there. Also, based on current flow data that we're seeing at Chapman Street and development in that basin, we are exceeding the capacity at that pump station. So we are looking to, in this same project, the pump station rehab project that we have funded through the SRF program, we need to upsize the force main, leaving that pump station, going to CMSD's pump station over by the cemetery off of Reedy Branch. This engineering amendment before you this evening will cover the professional services associated with the design, modification of the already approved engineering report and environmental impact document to satisfy the permitting agencies and the funding agency. If you recall, we received a 0% interest 20-year loan with an additional $500,000 principal forgiveness. This project and the cost would be rolled into that. The actual cost of the construction would be dependent on the bids received from contractors later on. This item before you is to cover the engineering amendment to the existing professional services contract with Rivers and Associates to do that additional design report, revisions, submittal, permit submission, and the construction observation that goes along during the project. That would be an increase of $222,600 for a total project, total professional services cost of $716,600. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Looking for approval?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve it by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Smith. Any questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Carroll Crossing, Section 3, Phase 1, final plat. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, sir. So we do have a subdivision plat for you, Carroll Crossing, Section 3, Phase 1. This is located on Church Street Extension. This is south of its intersection with Laurie Ellis Road. So parcel number is 4819. It's 1.1 acres with 3 lots. and this will be 6 units, duplexes, when it's fully developed. Current zoning is R8 conditional district. Site history, so this was rezoned to R8 in August of '21. Board of Adjustment did approve the special use permit for the duplexes on October 19, 2021. Technical Review Committee did review and approve the final plat January 4th of this year. They consequently went to, or subsequently went to Planning and Zoning Board, which unanimously recommended approval at its January 18th meeting. So just a site picture, so you can see Church Street here, that's the Opera Center over there. So Jeremy Lane going into the existing Carroll Crossing sections. So an aerial shot, so we're just looking at this parcel here. You see the layout with 1, 2, 3 lots, and each one of these lots will have a duplex on them. So just like you'll see, when they come back and do duplexes, they'll actually have a 0 lot line in between them. So that green is going to represent the berm, so you can see where they're going to have a berm out here and a sidewalk. So and here's just a cross-section of what that's going to look like. So you can see the berm, plantings on top, sidewalk here, so that'll be out here. And that's just a better shot of the plat itself. With that, I'll answer any questions you guys have of me.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith. Excuse me. Second by Mr. Moore. Any questions? Not? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Brian. Motion carried. Mr. Sutton, come on down. All right. Electrical engineering contract.
It is. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. If you recall, a few years back, our engineer, Power Services, was purchased by Pike Engineering. The engineers familiar with our system that had assisted us over the years. I worked with them for a year or two, and 2 different groups spun off of Pike Engineering and formed their own engineering group, one being utility engineering, the other being R-Grid Power. We recognized there was a need to split from Pike Engineering for a number of reasons, or possibly split. We advertised for electric engineering through an RFQ, received 2 responses, one from R-Grid Power, one from utility engineering. After the scoring, by a very, very narrow margin, staff is recommending board approval to enter contract negotiations with utility engineering for both general engineering contract as well as Old Tar Road improvement contract.
Now, this asks that you able to negotiate,
Yes.
make a motion to negotiate the contract.
Second.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Smith. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. And thank you and your crew for getting us power back on.
We'll talk about that later.
All right. Evan, come on down.
Good evening. I figured I'd go ahead and get here so you wouldn't have to wait. Good evening, everybody. Happy
evening.
Valentine's Day. Good to see all of you. We have currently the Recreation Advisory Board is made up of 7 resident members, 2 non-resident ETJ members, and an alternate, so a total of 10, including the alternate. We have some applications on file. We do have a resident member in the current alternate position. She has been there for almost 3 years now. So we recommend moving the current alternate, CJ Wanzik, up to the vacant resident position, and then appointing one of the applicants to what would be the vacant alternate position. The 3 applicants that we have in file did indicate Recreation Advisory Board interest either as their first or their only interest. and they are all residents. We do not have any, correct, Don, we do not have any non-town ETJ members for RAB, right? Don? Okay.
You want to move one of the alternates,
Bueller?
you want to move the alternate to a full-time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I make a motion to move the alternate to full-time. The motion for that one person so far.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a second. Have a motion and a second. Motion made by Mr. Moore, second by Councilwoman Robinson to move the alternate up to
Resident?
resident.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions from anybody? If not, all in favor, vote by saying aye. All opposed? Okay.
All right, so now just to fill that vacant
Right.
alternate position with one of those three applicants, Ms. Roshana Carmen, Mr. John Powell, or Ms. Melanie Miller.
I make a motion that we appoint Rashonda Carmen as the alternate. She's been coming to our meetings since, I think, about November. She's here tonight. She shows an interest in town government and would like to become involved with town government, and this would give her the opportunity to do that.
Second motion.
Okay. Got a motion by Ms. Robinson to nominate Ms. Carmen, second by Mr. Moore. Any questions from anybody? We'll go to vote. All in favor, vote by saying aye. All opposed? Ms. Carmen, welcome to the Recreation Board.
While you're here, hey, Mayor, what is the present plan for the Greenway?
So as you recall, we did two Greenway planning efforts. One was the Greenway Master Plan, and then we have the construction design documents for Fork Swamp Canal Greenway. At this time, there's been,
You
I'm
take that
sorry.
off, just, thank
You can't hear me?
you. I can hear you, but I wanted to make sure you can understand.
At this time, there's not any plans or movement moving forward, outside of the construction of the planning documents
So
themselves.
what do we need to move forward with that?
I had that on the agenda for Councilman Moore for vision setting,
Vision setting.
Yeah.
to see where council is and where you desire to go.
Okay? Is that gonna meet later on the night, when you speak? Or plan?
Vision
The vision setting meeting.
Vision
Okay.
setting.
That's the 24th.
Thank you. That's what just
If it's
concerned.
okay with council to
So
wait.
many times we start something we don't finish.
Yes, sir.
So we will see that on the
But that's
24th.
okay for everybody to, it'll
Good
definitely
idea.
be part of the vision setting meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Evan. Next up, Mr. Jones. Appointment to the Planning Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have multiple vacancies on our Planning and Zoning Board. That board is made up of 10 regular members and 2 alternate members. So currently, we have 2 regular members vacant, 1 regular alternate member vacant, 2 ETJ vacancies, and 1 ETJ alternate vacancy. So in my time here, we've always had 1 person representing ETJ. It's just problematic trying to get that representation. Mr. Robert Browley passed away, so he was our ETJ member. So the easy one out of this crew is the 1 person that meets the ETJ criteria.
Costello?
Hostetler, yes, sir.
Henry Hostetler.
So, and then so we need, obviously, appointment from council to appoint him as our ETJ member. And then, out of the list of 6 other applicants, we would need to fill the 2 regular member vacancies and the 1 regular member alternate vacancy.
Okay, make a motion that Hostetler be appointed ETJ and Clance be a regular member.
Let's go one at a time, if you don't mind. Just,
I made the motion to do both.
okay.
Had a written agenda reason for that. That's the only 2 I did, though.
Uh-huh.
Just each choice.
Do I have a second?
I didn't hear the first.
He said that Hostetler, I'm sorry, you want to repeat your motion? I'm
All
sorry.
right,
Go
my
ahead.
motion is that we appoint Hostetler to the out-of-town ETJ representative, and Clance, our fireman here tonight,
Yep.
to be a member of the regular recreation board.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Question, so we only have 2 positions then open then? One for
Got
the
one
ETA,
open now.
one
club.
ETJ, and then one regular, is that
So
correct?
technically, you have 4 open positions. I've got two regular members in town, 1 alternate member in town, and I have 2 ETJ vacancies, but I only have one
ETJ.
One
person.
ETJ eligible applicant at this time. So at the end of this, we'll still have some vacancies in our ETJ.
Right.
But that,
It takes care of the ETJ, and it
Yeah.
takes care of one of the in-town.
right, so this will take care of
This vote.
ETJ, and then, yeah, then we'll still have 1 regular vacancy and 1 alternate. So
right.
we'll still need two appointees.
Well, we have a motion on the, any more questions? I'm sorry.
We just, gone.
Okay. Motion was to accept Mr. Hofstadter, ETJ, and Mr. Klontz. Sorry. I'm tearing people's name
Used
up
to be my
tonight.
neighbor.
Okay,
You say clocks.
all right,
Klontz.
yes. To one of the regular positions on the planning board. Motion was made by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Smith.
One more question. I don't see Mr. Clark's name up here.
It's right, it's number 6.
Anthony Klontz.
Okay, okay. Let's start with,
And that's this distinguished gentleman out here in the short sleeve shirt, who is number 2 at the fire department.
gotcha.
Okay, all right. Any more? Okay. Mr. Robertson, you had something? Oh, I thought you had your hand up, I'm sorry.
She's
No.
voting.
Oh, okay. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carried.
And I'm sorry, I was looking for a C instead of a
no,
K.
Okay, all right. So now we need an appointment of another
So I need a regular
regular
member
and an
appointing
alternate.
and an alternate.
Right,
Yes, sir.
we need a regular and an alternate now.
I would like to see us appoint Godfrey Jones as a regular and Brandy Daniels as an alternate. Both of their applications have been, Brandy's been up since 19, and Godfrey's had his in since 20.
And then he's up here as James.
James,
James,
yeah.
Right, okay, just
James,
making sure
yeah,
we're on
James.
the,
He is, he's part of our Winterville
Yes,
thing.
yes.
His father was an alderman here.
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to appoint Godfrey Jones,
James Godfrey.
excuse me, and Brandy Daniels as the alternate, okay? Motion made by Ms. Robinson, second by Mr. Moore. Any questions? Okay, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, council. I will inform them of their
All
appointments.
right.
congratulations, Klontz.
Who seconded that motion? Mr. Moore, Tony Moore?
Maybe
Councilman.
see why I did when I did. I wanted
Okay, all right.
to go to somebody else.
Okay, next up, is the post office issue. Councilwoman Robinson, but Ms. Robinson, before you start, I'm gonna read this letter right quick, okay?
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right. Received a letter today from, well, actually came in on February the 10th from Senator Burr's office. It says, "Thank you for contacting my office regarding your request for the United States Postal Service. I'm glad to assist you in every way that I can with this matter. I have contacted the appropriate officials to express my interest in your case. To obtain more useful information, I will contact you as soon as I receive a response. Thank you for expressing your concern about this matter. I hope to be back in touch with you soon. Sincerely, Richard Burr, United States Senator." And we also have another letter here. And this is from Senator Murphy's office.
Representative.
Representative Murphy, Representative Greg Murphy. Our office recently received a letter from Mayor Jackson regarding a new location for the Winterville Post Office. I just want to inform you that we are inquiring as to what proper steps and procedures we can assist with at the federal level. I will be in touch with any further updates I may hear. Please let me know if we can be more assistance. That's Adam Littleton, legislative correspondent for Representative Greg Murphy. NC3. So those are kind of the updates now.
Yeah, I really wanted to make, well, let me just say this first. I'm not sitting here with shades on trying to look cool. Okay?
But you
I
do
should have
look
told you
cool.
that to start with. We had a nice little laugh. I had laser surgery this afternoon at
okay.
4:00.
Oh.
And so my eyes have not
Sensitive.
adapted to light
Right.
yet. So I thought it would be better for me to come in shades than to stay home, so.
Ms. Robertson, you
I'm
do
here.
look cool.
So make that
So I'm
comment
here.
later then.
And that's the reason for the shades tonight. I meant to say it earlier, but anyway, that's why I have on shades. I tried it and it didn't work. I am constantly bombarded with requests about that post office. Some of you and I meet there about once a day or once a week, couple of days a week, and I'm quite sure you all have had folks to talk to you about it too. And I don't want our citizens to feel that we're not trying to do something about it. They've been complaints. I mean, I went there at 8:30 one morning. I was there before it opened. And before the doors opened, there was a line. I looked at the parking lot, and over half the parking lot was filled with employee cars. And, if you get on Nextdoor, I do check Nextdoor to see what's going on. And there are a lot of complaints about the mail service and, well, delivery service of everything. So I think this is something that is important to our citizens. The employees there, they're concerned because they don't have enough room to do their work. And, we've heard complaints around Christmas time about the noise from the residents in the area. And I want our citizens to know that we are concerned about it. And I'm glad that we did get those letters.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing them so that our citizens will know. And they, as citizens, contact the legislators. Let them know what you want for our community. We do need a bigger post office. We do need, some improvements there in the delivery of services to our area. And that's my comments on it. We see it from both sides, the people receiving the service as well as the people giving the service.
I brought this up years ago, and they complained to me over and over again, the people that work there about the mold, the size, unsafe facility. That's why we get our mail wrong. I get other people's mail all the time. They have got the trucks for delivery now. The cars can take all the mail. And it's a leased facility. And, the person moved from, they lived on Old Tar Road or Evans Street, South Hall. They moved to Florida. And there were 5-year contracts. But it's just not safe. I can't believe anybody would have people back into each other in the parking lot. It's terrible. But we did a response from Burke. Hey, Hagan was helpful at one time. We went through a period of every year we had a different postmaster over and over and over again, postmaster. We had a long-term postmaster, young. He took a job doing what? Was it landscaping and cleaning windows? Yeah, he's left post office, the young guy who was there for quite a while. I hope we get an answer to somebody.
Okay.
We'll keep checking in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Robertson. Diligence.
Okay. Next up is a discussion on the town Quas,
Give that to Don.
Quasqua Centennial.
Quasquas Centennial
I don't know.
Anniversary.
I think that's the way you say it. Quasqua Centennial.
Quasquas Centennial Anniversary.
I've been practicing.
Just say it slow.
Hey, Patrick, go ahead.
Just say 150.
150 years. Thank you, Attorney. But, so Terry, can you give us a brief?
Sure. Wanted just to keep this on the agenda, so council's been keep thinking about what you might want to see during the year. Next month, I believe, will be the official month that the anniversary date is located in. We will be doing something during the meeting, but we've been meeting with our chamber executive director. She's with us this evening, and members of the Historic Association, just to kind of find out how they can be involved in helping us figure out things we may want to do all along the year. I think it's neat if we could do several things throughout the year. But if you have ideas as time comes forward and getting close, please let us know, and we'll be working sort of at a staff level, trying to look at different things that we may be bringing forward as well. But you'll continue to see this on the agenda, just to keep it fresh in everybody's mind, number one, and number two, we're gonna need to start trying to plan a few things as.
That's what
time
I
gets
was gonna say,
close.
Terry. I think it would be wise if we just have a little committee.
That'd be great.
And,
That'd be great.
I would like to be in on it. I know, the chamber, will want to be in on it, and, the historic.
Almost
So
over there is-
we got three, including myself, a town representative, and I'd like to see a citizen from the town, come be on our little committee.
Sure. I know that both Jesse Riggs and
Right.
Mr. Hunsucker
right.
have both expressed interest, that the entire group, you know, want to find ways to
Right.
have the Ainge House available, have the depot available, so.
So what I'm saying is if y'all know someone else in the town that would be interested in it, if you would shoot me an email, I would like to get this group together next month, and we can sit down and kind of plan out some things, and that way we can get it back to you all, you know.
Sure.
Now, if it was, we would call Woodrack originally, that's the original name. Then it was changed by Mr., what's his name? He named our town? Cox. He named our town, Winterville in 1897. So where did 150 years come from?
It's 150 years from our incorporation date.
125, it's only.
I mean, it's 125, not 150.
125.
Yeah.
I apologize. We stand corrected.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Farmers-
Quasquicentennial is 125.
Okay, I would never have known that.
I think sesquicentennial is 150.
But farmers have their 150, is that correct?
That's what it is.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, Farmville
Yes.
Farmers got their
Yes.
150.
And I believe that's sesquicentennial. We're
So-
having the
So
quasquicentennial.
how long were we Woodrack?
Ooh, I have no, that's
Ooh.
interesting.
We
That
had
was our
asked Jesse.
name, Woodrack.
Woodrack?
Didn't the railroad decide on that name for us? Or something like that?
Now, he sold wood to the railroad. And then he sued the railroad and won the case. They didn't want to put a depot here. He sent, equipment year-round, all over the world, farm with implement equipment. He purchased the land for both schools. He started Cox in 1900. My grandmother went there. And they had dormitories there at one time. And so he gave land for both of them. He was
I
quite
think
a
we're
man.
going to find a lot of interesting information as the year goes along, because there'll be a lot of that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't
No,
know.
And that information about him was shared one Saturday on that show.
That's neat.
That Black History
was.
program, that he donated the land for the colored school, 'cause that was what the terminology was at that time.
I've got a newspaper article, I'll bring it some one night
be
about
great.
him developing the town and naming it and so forth.
Well, on our agenda next month, Jesse is gonna be,
Mr. Riggs.
Jesse
yes.
Riggs is gonna be here to present the history, of the town. So,
I do also know that Mr. Riggs and Mr. Hunsucker and the other members are looking into mayoral information as far back and trying to, I didn't realize that initially there was an election every year. So they're
Right.
trying to make sure that they have some of that older information available, and also trying to see if they can obtain additional photographs of some of these mayors so that we can build our wall.
Took me 3 years on this board to get that on the wall, 3 years.
Well, we want to build on it now, so they'll be working on that information as well, and if anybody knows specific information,
I had the original stamps, and then somebody that's in the family, I won't say who, has the original clock.
good.
But think about also Reverend Mitchell. I promised his family years ago that we'd have a portrait. They got lost.
I thought it was one over there.
Is it here?
I thought they put one in the house.
In the town hall, though. He was a minister 35 years here.
Yeah, and he had a
And later
first
we-
funeral
I
home,
promised-
first and only funeral home
Right.
at that time.
And funeral
But I
director.
thought that they put his picture in the Ainge house.
I'll double check.
I haven't been in there lately.
All right, okay,
Thought that's what we did.
all right.
Promised.
Okay.
Okay, items for future agenda work sessions.
If I may, we do have our vision setting on the 24th. I'll be sending out a new set of dates for our stormwater workshop, which will be a little bit later in March. We're trying to shoot for March 7th and 8th, but that didn't work for everyone, and we really want to try to strive to have as many council folks there and available as possible. So you'll be hearing from me on that in the very near future.
24th of March, so far.
And what time?
Vision setting is at 24th of this month at 5:30. And it'll be
5:30.
here,
24th this
5:30,
month.
here in the assembly room. And dinner will be served. And I'm cooking. I'm just kidding.
You're cooking?
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Are you cooking?
We all
Are you
look.
sure it's 5:30, not 5 o'clock?
5:30.
5:30?
Yes, sir.
5:30. Okay. This one? Yes, February the
This one,
24th.
February 24th.
Yeah, February 24th at 5:30.
And of course, as a few more days go by, we'll send out a
Reminder.
a reminder.
Okay. Any other work sessions? Okay. Our apartment head.
Yes. I was gonna say something about that, though, when you're
Okay.
ready.
All right. Reports from department heads.
You all ask us to do reports, have department heads come forward and give you updates on reports at we decided to do it at the beginning of a quarter. And somehow it got past me last month, and so we're making up for it. I'll take it, making up for it this month. And so therefore, Mr. Williams is excited, come on in. So this will be the report
didn't do a
you
good
should have
job,
gotten
did he?
last month,
Last
but
month.
everybody, right.
Right, and then we won't get another one till.
Good evening again. So just some of the main projects we've got going on, the gravity rehab project, since we've tore up the town for the past year. We're working on trying to close that project out. There was a little hiccup on one of the lines. There's a gravity line that was lined during that project along Vernon, leaving a manhole at Main Street, flowing south along Vernon towards Drexel. Something has happened with that liner. It has come loose. It has failed. We had a blockage over the weekend. I believe y'all may have seen that email.
Is that something that they fixed? Or that
It
they
is,
worked
yep.
on and messed up?
That's correct. Sometimes the liner, they blow it in and then they fill it full of water and they cure it. Sometimes it doesn't cure properly. Something happened and the liner collapsed in on itself, creating a blockage. Contractor's coming into town tomorrow to start taking a look at and trying to come up with a remedy
This
on
is
it.
2 or 3 issues that
I was
they've had to go back on.
I think Vernon's been a special place. Vernon Avenue's been a special place that's required our presence, or the contractor's presence.
That is correct.
We
So
had the
we,
problem with Lori Ellis. I mean, I'm just seeing a reoccurrence of problems of things that,
so the
supposed to be
liners,
fixed, I'm asking.
that's correct. The liner's a little different than that service situation, two different, same contract, same prime, subs, doing two different kinds of work. But you're correct. There have been some issues in the areas that were worked on.
hey, I'm just concerned at what kind of problems.
As
we're gonna
as
have
am I.
in a year if we're having problems and the
Well-
dust hadn't even settled since they left.
Certainly, there is, this certainly falls under that warranty.
Might want to cross them off any future projects.
I think
Will certain,
Ben and I would agree that we'll be glad when the project's closed out, but I have to give staff just tons of credit because they're having to go out at all hours of day and night to keep these things from becoming even more substantial problems. So I want to thank them because they worked all weekend, and it's not the first time they've been out there working at night on these issues.
They're doing a
So,
great job.
Yeah.
But
we are, and I know that we're staying on top of, trying to stay on
you
top of
pay
the
a
contract.
contractor to do work, you expect them to do it correctly.
certainly, you know, that, and we went back and looked at the video, there's post-lining video, there was no issue there. Once we get in there, though, we've been able to pump the upstream manhole down. We intend to run a camera from the opposite direction in hopes to be able to see something else, maybe a more smoking gun than what we found today. While we're still on sewer, the pump station rehab project, the item that I was in front of you with earlier, just talking about that Chapman Street force main, that project that's going to be, the engineer will be designing that and resubmitting for approval from the permitting and the funding agencies for that. So that one's still ongoing in the design phase. Everything else has been designed. These new parts have to be worked and submitted for approval, and hope to go to bid on that relatively soon, probably in the summer months. Also spoke a little bit about the Winterville Crossing Pump Station abandonment. We're trying to coordinate with the ACE's needs, the Christ Covenant's design, their engineer, our engineer, make sure that that downstream manholes are put in at the right elevation so that we don't cut ourselves out of being able to do that line work to abandon Winterville Crossing. We've got a little bit of elevations to work with, but we just want to make sure that we're right on. We'd hate to get there and be too high. We want to be low enough to get there. So we're just making sure that we're measuring 2 or 3 times and only cutting once. Church Street force main, we had an issue with that a couple of weeks ago. Had a break in the line that's in the casing that goes under the railroad tracks and Mill Street. That project is waiting for the contractor to do that final bore and make that connection. We are accelerating that, trying to, we've got permits in hand. We're trying to coordinate with the railroad to get their inspector on site so the contractor can put that casing in and extend that upsized line and make that tie-in so we can not have to worry about having that pipe under there or the bypass piping that we currently have set up. We're working on getting bids from paving contractors to do the townwide street patching from the sinkholes or spot repairs that staff's been working on. I know you've got a couple in your neighborhood, Mayor. There's quite a few around town, so we'll be continuing to work towards getting bids on that from paving contractors. Our consulting engineers also going to be coordinating the downtown striping project now that the contractor's out of the area, try to get that paint back down on the asphalt. We're also working towards getting some quotes from contractors to repair a list of fire hydrants that are having some issues, whether they're not flowing as well as they should or completely out of service due to damage or age, failing components. So we're working on that. We've got an upcoming alarm conversion at all of our pump stations as a result of changing over to the 5G network, the 3 and the 4, and maybe the 2.5, 2.3, whatever Gs that aren't 5, they're discontinuing, so those systems aren't going to work. So we plan to, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, I believe it is, they'll be on site changing out, making that conversion at all of the pump stations. We've got upcoming MetroNet coming in, so we're gonna have a wave of plan review for that and project supervision, and hopefully, no 5 o'clock calls of, hey, or 4:45, hey, we just hit this and our guys have gone home at 3:30 and have to pull them all back in to fix something, So we're fingers crossed and send some prayers up for us on that side of things. Ain Street sidewalk, we're working with the engineer and DOT, have had conversations with DOT based on kind of what we're proposing. We've just got some tight, you got an open ditch, you've got tight right-of-way there, existing fencing. We don't want to create more work for us, trying to solve an issue.
Which side of the road are you talking?
We are looking to put crossings over to the A.G. Cox side.
Right.
And because we've already got sidewalks leading to that, that's an easier section to pipe, that portion there.
Hold up, back up, I'm confused. It don't take a lot to confuse me anyway. We don't have any sidewalks from Primrose down to Barrel.
That is correct.
So when kids come up to Sylvania, they're either having a walk through the grass from Barrel down to Blunt, or either they're having a walk on, next to the fence by the softball and baseball fields, which can be wet.
Right.
So what are we talking about?
So we are proposing to have sidewalk from Blunt till Sylvania against the softball field, on the A.G. Cox
Man,
side.
there's hardly no room there. Are you gonna tile that? Is that what you're
That
talking
is
about?
what we're proposing to do, that's correct. So we've had conversations with DOT about, right, because you don't have that vertical, you have to have enough horizontal separation if you don't have vertical separation. We can get cheaper and we don't have to deal with being so far away from the road if we're able to go on the A.G. Cox side of it. We can tile that ditch, put in a section of curb, direct that flow down, and there's already an underpipe underrange, smaller ditch. But we think that would be the best because you're on that property. You've got some sidewalks. From the neighborhood, we would cross over. We'd have to do some work there at Primrose to get over to the corner section of sidewalk at Blunt and Ainge.
Probably would have helped us if some of the previous boards had a little
Had
foresight.
had Cooper's Point had a little bit better
Ainge
sidewalk
Street.
network in that, yes.
And when we developed the rest of Ainge Street to have it curb and guttered, but I wasn't on that board. Long before my time.
So DOT is, they said if we're willing to pay for it, they'll allow it. So we've
sure
done
they
an
will.
estimate. The preliminary opinion of probable cost is about $200,000 to do that piping, curbing, and sidewalk improvements there.
So that would also include that, what A.G. Cox wanted, that little cut at that fence?
We are going to include that in
Okay.
there as well. That's
Okay.
Then we
correct.
could take down those 79 ugly no parking signs.
Yes.
Well,
Run
I
right
think
along
parents
there.
have been taking them down one by one. They keep backing over them,
Probably,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
It needs some instruction.
So, I mean, I may have missed it. So what about the crosswalks?
We will have crosswalks from Barrel over to, I'm gonna have to, and like I said, Primrose will probably have to get some type of sidewalk over to the crosswalk or to the existing handicap ramp at the northwestern corner of that intersection there. And then a crosswalk
You think we
across.
can have all this done by the time school starts?
Well,
back?
that's the
There are
goal.
a ton of kids
We're-
walking by, scared to death every time I drop mine off, and all those other kids that are walking. I mean, there's 50 kids every morning.
Certainly, I've spoken with the engineer about the time, about money and the time frame and trying to get in when the sports and the school is done such that we can try to get that done in order
Have we
to.
contacted community schools, safe schools, that I would feel like they would give us some money to at least help with those crosswalks? I mean, they've got money for stuff like that.
We'd be glad to reach out to them, see if anybody would chip in.
Safe school.
Hey, every little bit saved.
Exactly.
Certainly.
I know our officer would appreciate it in the morning and in the afternoon at A.G. Cox.
Certainly. And last item, just continued our staff keeping an eye on reviewing and observing new development construction throughout town.
How about the drainage problem for the Cox? That was, I used that federal money for.
Refresh my memory.
And we're gonna get $2 million, $2 or $3 million. We get, the first project was gonna be in front of A.G. Cox. the
You mean
sinkhole.
Robinson?
Robinson. Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, I guess it,
Robinson.
W.H. Robinson.
Right. That one, the consultant that we were talking to initially, I'll just need to pick that one back up and start talking to them
Don't we
about
have
that.
to use it?
We have approximately 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
We
two
have
payments.
we have a window, yes, and I don't mean to put everything off to the vision setting, but obviously how to use that money and what you want to use that money on. Wanted to try to drill down into during vision setting to make sure that we're moving forward as council wants to. I know that
But we
you,
voted to make that the priority, the drainage.
yes, but I think we've got some updates to give you with some associated projects, stormwater projects. So, yes, we're working towards that, but I think we want to specify and make sure we're still working as you all want us to. Good idea.
And then also, what about the, they call me Speed Bump Johnny. And that's okay.
I never heard that one, that's good.
But, and that's fine, because if that's something that will help, keep our kids safe, slowing the traffic up and down on those streets is very important. I think one subdivision that I'm speaking of right now is Blackstone is out there on Runner White Road. Is that right?
Blackstone, yes, it is on Vernon White, right behind the Kingdom Hall.
Exactly. There is a request for them to have speed bumps placed on that street. They talk like, they just use that as a little drag strip, that little area. And they have a lot of kids in that area. So they're all requesting. Have you got a request?
We've actually got, I think, 2 or 3 requests from
Yes.
different neighborhoods
From different-
currently. One of the most recent being East Main Street,
Main,
where we
right.
installed the stop
Yes,
signs.
yeah, I was gonna say something about that also.
How about Church Street?
Well, we've got several places.
Hey, my only concern was speed bumps. What, we're gonna put them up everywhere?
Well, and that's the
My
challenge.
thing is, write them tickets
And
every single day. Write them speeding tickets. You can keep somebody down there. You can slow them down, then start paying.
Well,
We can't put up speed bumps all over town. I mean,
that is true.
and you can't place officers all over town either.
That is true.
that's true too.
And whereas you can place a speed bump, that's stationary.
I'd rather see them writing tickets down there than Highway 11.
No, I agree, but, well, I don't know. I mean, if
Well, I think that
If it's a
enforcement,
need, I think the chief is doing what he think is best for our community. If it's out there, continue. I mean, you know.
we do have a
where's the
lot of
need?
requests for speed bumps, though, and I do think it's gonna be challenging to try to install
become an
them
issue.
everywhere that they've been requested. So that's why we're trying to use some of these other measures.
I mean, I'd like to have speed bumps on Laurie Ellis Road.
Well, yeah, 'cause they fly.
I mean, they come through there
Yes.
70 miles an hour.
Many of the residents have requested more patrols in the area, you know.
Yes.
Just a little, just out there for, you know, we know they can't stay forever, but just, you know, and I think we did that in some areas before we did speed bumps, then
That's correct.
did some patrolling in the area to see if it really was a major problem. That could be something that we could try and see what, and of course, the report back would be impartial because the officers would report back to the chief and he would have an idea of how big the problem is in the area.
But Blackstone is an ongoing problem in that area. They have been requesting one for.
So has
a-
Manchester.
So have,
Manchester too.
so have
I
Manchester,
say-
so have East Main, so has everybody that got my sound of my voice and my telephone number here lately.
Good.
Has requested a speed bump, Johnny.
That's good. But I'm just saying we need to start somewhere. We
Yeah.
can at least start instead of, I mean, you know,
Well-
start working in some of the areas and see, to place them in, see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, sitting here and talking about it and ideal, I mean, that's good. And our kids is still, but don't take one child. And I got a grandson. I don't have a one. And, you know,
Yeah, and that's all concern for any citizen,
and that's
whether it's
important.
be a child, senior, or anyone.
There you go.
Speeding is not, it's not gonna be happening here in town, chief, correct? And that's what your officers, that's what they're gonna do, they're gonna make sure it's not gonna happen in this town.
and that's gonna help speed
So,
bumps.
It's gonna be challenging. I will say that the feedback we get from the current speed bumps that are installed in the neighborhoods where they are is that they don't necessarily
from one to the
help.
other.
Correct.
Right.
Now, we have looked at some of the, and I don't remember what they're called, Ben, some of the, larger, there's a name for it.
Speed table.
Thank you. And I think we actually showed you all a pictorial over in Hillcrest Park where we were talking about doing something in the drive there. Of course, that's a much more permanent and obviously more expensive endeavor. But I would say that I think the current speed bumps we're putting in don't appear, no more than we've put in, to have had a large effect. Jones Street, I hear all the time, people still speed on Jones Street. Obviously, we only have 2 there, but then you get into, well, how many are we gonna put down?
And also the way that we place them down. The one on Jones Street, I mean, really and truly, you can go around it
Well, see, that's
without
just-
even stopping and keep right on getting out.
That's
Because
the
it's
little
not,
skinny one,
so what?
the little skinny one.
Yeah, and it's not mounted all the way across on the street.
It was one that we can put down and,
That's right. I
Take
mean,
out.
certainly, hindsight, that one, we were testing out. That's got bike lanes on the side.
and we actually have 2 different kinds there right now, right?
Well, we've got the old ones, but then we had that new one.
Yeah, the
That
new-
was a
yeah.
little, I mean, that thing's substantial. I would say folks slow down a little bit more for that one because it'll beat you up a little bit. And that's the purpose of them. I mean, they're to slow you down. Some folks will drive right over them. If those speed tables, they'll kind of go right over those a little bit faster than something that'll maybe jar a filling loose. With regard to Blackstone, in some areas you're having through traffic. Blackstone, if you're going in there because you either live there or you know somebody that lives
Right.
there. So on that one, they might want to have an HOA meeting
Right.
and call somebody out.
That's true for every street around town.
Yes.
Really, because, I live on one of the shortest streets in town. And it would almost seem impossible to speed on that street, but they do.
Well, and that's the thing with the speed bumps. They decelerate to go over it, and then they accelerate to, get back up to speed. So it's, it's kind of a double-edged sword
If your
in that
citizen-
regard.
If your citizen is requesting that, if you get enough citizen on that street is requesting it, they got a concern and an interest. I mean, that's what we are here for.
Yes, and what historically has happened is, when a neighborhood wants such measures, they will send a request to the town, and then we put it before you all, and you direct us accordingly. So I don't want you to think that we're certainly not saying we won't look into that. I don't remember if we got one from Blackstone or
Well,
not.
the request has been given to me, and I think that's.
Well, what we're saying is a
But
petition.
a
what you're saying.
petition?
A
Yeah,
petition.
yes, usually
Petition.
and that's happened a couple
Right.
of ways. Either they do a petition where all the signatures are on one page, or I tell people they're free, if multiple people want to contact, send an email, and just put their address.
That sounds good, but it's amazing, and I'm not being picky behind this. And like I said, my name is Speed Bump behind some, but.
Could we put a patrol car over there for a short while, just to, assess the situation, do something about it? Because we are the elected representatives of the people. And if they get in touch with us, that means that they see a problem. So I feel like with Mr. Moore being contacted, that we need to do something for those people in that area. I know they can do a petition or whatever, but
All I was
that's what
simply-
we're elected to do, bring it to the attention of council.
And I'm certainly not disputing any of that. All I'm doing is putting out there what has normally happened in the past. You all direct us accordingly. Tell us what you want, we'll do it. That's no problem.
Because we have done it in the past. I mean, I know other areas that we have brought a concern, and especially speed problem, and we addressed that issue immediately, almost.
Yeah, again, for me, is.
So I would say.
Just, I'm saying, just ask them to ask their neighbors if they want speed bump, get a petition, because a lot of neighbors may not want the speed bumps. So they need to talk among themselves first before they come to us. And if they all agree to it, bring it to us, and we'll try to make something happen. But everybody is not in favor of speed bumps.
Well-
I'm just saying, so they need to talk to their neighbors, because even in my neighborhood, a lot of people in my neighborhood are not in favor of speed bumps, but we want something done, but everybody's not in favor of speed bumps. I mean, and so,
I'll make a motion that we ask our police chief to put an extra patrol in Blackstone to assess the, speeding problem in that area.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second.
all right. Got a motion on the floor and a second to provide patrol in Blackstone. Any questions before we go to vote?
Chief, can we do that?
You obviously can do that, yes, Councilman Moy. The obstacle and the issue that we're going to have is being understaffed at the moment. Sometimes there's two folks out there. If one of them's at Blackstone, you got one doing everything else in town, and that is a big ask.
I think you would just, I assume what you would do is what you're already doing in other places where we're seeing speed complaints, and you do the best you can do to try to assess it accordingly.
For example, East Main, in the words of one caller, one of the citizens emailed you
On the regular.
and said, you know, the stop sign's not working, writing the tickets aren't working, what do I have to do to get a speed bump? I know you saw that email going out to everyone. And then another resident is saying, why are you terrorizing East Main Street? Stop doing it.
But you get those anytime we increase
Yeah,
enforcement.
Yeah, because I got a call from someone on East Main, said that now we're enforcing it, and our officers are causing more havoc than the speeders were. Because they chasing down the speeders.
But I think we'll,
So I don't know.
Well, I think Chief answered my question, and it's just like a team. They always say the ones that cheer the team on is the third one on the team. And to me, that the front runner is Chief and his staff. And then you're talking about the cheerleader. I mean, the ones that on the stand can be those speed bumps. Because, I mean, they can be a helpful tool. These young boys and the ones and young ladies or whoever speeding up there, they're not gonna run across those speed bumps not with so many times if they carry anything for their vehicle, and they do.
we'll be glad to do whatever council wants to
I
direct
think
us
that
to
we
do in
need to place some
Blackstone.
speed bumps there.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Motion made by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Moore, to increase patrol over in the Blackstone area. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carry. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Who's up next in the bullpen?
I think
Bring 'em.
it's whoever would like, Brian's next.
Okay.
So it's always helpful, I think, to, when we're looking at current projects, to look at what we've done in the recent past. So I just wanted to give you guys an update, obviously with the new year. Over the past year, we reviewed 10 subdivision, final plat at 132 lots, 203 preliminary platted lots. We've done 6 site plan reviews, 6 rezonings, 6 annexations, 7 special use permits. Those rezonings total about 150 acres, the annexations over 50 acres. Zoning permits, we issued over 200 last year. 66 of those were single-family houses. 16 of them were new businesses. So, and we're anticipating that trend to continue. So currently, we have 8 projects going on. They include 2 rezonings, 3 subdivisions, 2 site plans, and one annexation. So just to say all that, development's really booming in town. A lot of people want to be here. A lot of developers find it a place that people are wanting to be. So that's where they're investing their money. And that's a credit to this board, I think. So that's all I got. Any questions, you guys?
Keep doing good work, you and
Yes,
Stephen.
very good. Can we tell a surprise, or do we have to wait?
I'm not sure what surprise we're talking about.
I think we may have a new member of the planning department
Oh, yeah, so yes.
shortly, hopefully.
So, Stephen's, Penn's wife, our economic development planner, his wife was in labor this afternoon, so he's going to be a new dad sometime shortly, if not already, so congratulate Stephen.
It's good stuff.
Hey, you think he was smiling when you see him? He was,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I think he sent Brian a message saying he would be late today.
but yeah, prayers for him that everything's
Yes.
going good, and hopefully he's got 10 fingers and 10 toes to count tonight, so, thank you, guys.
all right, Mr. Sutton.
Little humor on Valentine's. Electric department. First I want to start out with, not a project, but give you an update on what caused the outage. We had about a $100 fitting that had a microscopic hole in it. Apparently it gotten just enough water and ice that caused the outage.
At least it was microscopic.
It was hard. We couldn't detect it. We just saw what the results of it. And when we got it off and took it out, we realized that we had our engineer come by out as well. And we broke it apart, analyzed the substation. Our fear was the transformer had an issue, which would have been disastrous for us, but and very costly. But it wasn't that. It was just a small fitting. Just takes a very long time to replace it. So with all that said, any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to answer those. But our redundancy plans that you hear me talk about so much, that's what they're for. When we lose one station, we have the ability to switch over to others and still continue the feed. It just takes a little time, particularly when you have to ascertain what the issue is before you start that process. Let's see, we're starting utility relocation for the 11 at Main subdivision. We'll be moving some utility poles and conductor as well down on Main Street near the intersection of Highway 11. We're installing the underground crossings for 11 in Main and Copper Creek. Also, we extended our power into the A.G. Cox, the new facility, the new phase they're completing out there. We just finished that last week. They're testing all of that now. Most importantly, what we're trying to spread the word as much as possible, and this isn't something that's, that we have cornered the market on. We are now seeing a supply shortage on our single-phase pad mount transformers, and this is being seen all across the country. Not so much the ones you see up on the poles, the ones you see in new subdivisions, the little, the small green boxes. To give you an idea of what we're looking at, there was a time when I could call all of our vendors, and we could have transformers in 90 days, pretty much anything we wanted. As of today, earliest delivery is 52 weeks, and that's paying a little extra. We're also the second bidder with the shortest times frame on delivery was 85 weeks. One was 132 weeks, and 2 other vendors told us they would not give us a price because they couldn't guarantee delivery or price. So we're all on that boat. We've contacted Electric Cities. We have asked them, and they are moving on it rapidly. We've asked them to form somewhat of a purchasing co-op to act on behalf of all of us in hopes that as a much bigger entity representing a much bigger group, that we would have the ability possibly to get even better prices and a shorter turnaround. So I want to make sure we've been talking with developers as well. They are not terribly happy. I did have one last week, a week before last, told me that he asked me if I'd give him the spec, he'd go out and find us some. I've talked to him for 2 weeks. He hadn't found them yet, and I hope he does, because I told him we'll buy every one when you find it. Just don't say a word to anyone else. but it is going to be an issue.
Robert, do you have any idea about electricity, how quickly they might do something, electricities?
They're working on it now. They've
I didn't
already
know
started
how
moving towards it, but in terms of just forming the group, the purchasing
I got
co-op.
you.
And that's something that we will probably come back possibly with the board to discuss as well, just to see how you guys would feel about that. And give us a little directive on that. Our gas prices, obviously, we're buying our wholesale power through the Kings Mountain Energy Center. Those gas prices have skyrocketed in January. I'm happy to report to you that they have come back down, but we will need to follow that closely. We went from averaging, on a unit basis of $4 per unit, with $18 a unit. Obviously, that's going to impact us quite a bit. We are hoping and praying for a very mild spring and early summer to keep those numbers down. Met with Metronet last week. I know several of you had an interest in that project. They have submitted pole attachment requests for about 450, 460 poles here in town that we're reviewing. We found a few, not many, but a few that were out of code, electric code. We reviewed that with them last week, asked them to resubmit so we could review them again. My understanding, they also told us that they're going to give us a schedule and key so we know where they're going to be and when they're going to be there. Initially, it'll be, all we know is really just an overhead application. So that's initial. I actually spent a little time, went over to Greenville to watch them. A friend of mine is their inspector, and he seems to think they've been doing a pretty good job, particularly on the underground, which is our big concern. Make sure they don't interrupt any existing services. But they have been very careful, and they've done, according to people I've spoke with, what they promised they would do so far.
And this would be, they would start on this, I call it the skeleton of the system.
Yes.
Before, so,
They seem to think they'll be over here in about 6 to 8 weeks, is what they're proposing. So you can look for them. They've also said they'll notify neighborhoods so that nobody's caught off guard when the trucks are out there in the front. Also, the notice to proceed was issued for the fire department sprinkler project last Monday. So obviously, we like to wait till it's bitter cold to start a project like that so we can open those doors up in the fire department. That is sarcasm at its finest. I think that's kind of gives you an idea of where we're looking at right now. Any questions, be more than happy to answer them.
Anybody have questions? Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along. Announcement, Mr. Harvey, announcements.
Other department heads wish to, got you covered. Okay, announcements for tonight. Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be next Monday at February 21st at 7 p.m. The Recreation Advisory Board will be next Tuesday, February the 22nd, at 6:30 p.m. in the Operations Center. There's not a need for Board of Adjustment this month, so it has been canceled. Town Council Vision Setting meeting will be here on Thursday, February the 24th at 5:30 p.m. Dinner by GK. The next regular Town Council meeting will be Monday, March 14th. And just to mark your calendars, at least at this point in time, the League City Vision meeting will be April 26, 27, 28 in Wilmington at the Convention Center, in person at this time.
So on that same topic, how many people going, so we get the number, we get our rooms?
Well, as of now, please just call me and let me know if you're interested in
I'll
going,
tell you right now,
okay?
I'm going.
I'm going.
Everybody going?
Anybody not going? That's easier
I'll
then,
let you know.
okay? And then that way, soon as arrangements do hit, I can sign everybody up.
You going, manager? You gonna go with King?
Oh, my goodness.
You like to go?
I just might do that, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll let
Anybody
me
mind
go.
Dean going? He deserves it.
Can I
Good to
go?
have him come along.
Yeah, he sure
It
can.
should be a great one. Haven't had one in so long.
Yes,
Be nice to the employees, always.
it'll be nice.
Yeah.
They're important.
I will keep everyone posted. You all see those things sometime through correspondence, but I will do that. And Mr. Smith, if you'll just sort of let me know. Otherwise, I'll get you a room, and then we'll cancel it if need be.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor, keep going.
Thank you all. Happy Valentine's Day to you ladies and to your other significant others.
Lord.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Okay, now, Mr. Moore, you have any comments?
Yes, I would like to thank the Winterville Fire Department for responding to my home. I was out of town, and my wife, she smelled some smoke, and she walked in the kitchen, and she found exactly where it was coming from, and it was coming from my dryer, and she said that she snatched it out of the wall. That was good. And the smell and the fumes and everything got so great that she decided to call the fire department. And they responded and they assist, and I just want to say thank you. You don't know what you have until you need it. Thank you.
Mr. Smith,
I don't have anything, Mayor.
thank you. Mr. Rice?
Well, I just wanted to thank the staff and you guys for helping me march forward in this new position. I do want to mention that Ludy and I went to a ribbon cutting at the Alice King Center today. I didn't realize there's 14% of Pitt County population is old people like me. And they've got a new facility over there that will help us older folks work out and get healthy, stay healthy.
Ms. Robinson?
I talked enough tonight, but I'm gonna say something else anyway. I've been working with a group that's trying to bring COVID testing to Pitt Community College. So hopefully we can get it that far over here. We'll relieve some of the people that are going. But I do want to thank staff for everything they do to keep our town a safe and a wonderful place to live. And please tune in on Saturday at 3. It's awesome.
Mr. Moore?
Chief, if we raise the pay of you people, does that make a difference? How short of staff are you? Might not want to tell us out loud.
I'm glad you brought me back up so I can clarify. No, I mean, I'm not going to say no more pay, but our pay is highly competitive with agencies that are a lot larger than ours. There is a trend that our police academy students are actually going into the academy and they're already hired. The town manager has put us in a good position to compete with that. We have been actually hiring trainees to go into the academy as well because they were already snatched up by other departments. We've just had some we've had a medical condition and a person move out of town. A few people have left for a bunch of different reasons. And we just haven't gotten their replacements yet.
And some include getting out of law enforcement altogether, so.
Correct.
My concern is I want the best police force and best staff we can have overall, not just police department, every staff member we
Absolutely.
have. We want the best, we want to pay the best.
So we're working really hard. And it's not that I didn't have an update. I thought the mayor was calling each person up. And he
Well, I apologize, Chief.
nixed it for Valentine's Day, which is good.
Well, what we've done, and just so the department heads know, y'all come when
Yeah.
when you're ready.
Right,
When you're
I
ready.
apologize.
No,
to
that's
you and
fine.
David.
But that's the reason we're working understaffed. It's not because we choose to, we just, it takes a long time to hire someone
Might want to put
in this business.
A fifth person, we got 4 now. Or if we need, we might move to a 5th person. I want.
Vision setting, can I say vision setting?
Vision setting. There we go. Thank you, Chief.
But hey, we wouldn't object, but vision setting.
Vision setting. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Before I get to you, Attorney King, David, do you have anything? Okay, all right. And I do apologize to y'all guys over there. No. Oh, wait a minute.
Second.
King?
I won't stand in the way of that. I have two things very, very quick.
Okay.
Our internet sweepstakes lawsuit, something of interest and potential assistance in the case. Towns across the state have been waiting for the North Carolina Supreme Court to rule on 2 cases up there dealing with gaming machines. And a joint opinion on both those cases came down late last week. I just started looking at it today, but I think it's going to help us in our lawsuit and probably help towns just like us across the state too. So we'll see how that plays out. Number 2, and lastly, the town manager and I will be over in district court tomorrow morning. The town received a subpoena about a week ago for a prior employee's personnel file. And as you know, there's certain things out of personnel file we can that are public record, but the vast bulk of a personnel file is not. So I filed an objection to the subpoena. And so she and I will go over and talk with the judge tomorrow and explain our position on allowing the court to see a file. With a court order, it can be done. So just letting you know, we'll be doing that. And that's happy Valentine's Day, and that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, yeah, I got y'all got me on speed dial. I'll come get you.
What's that?
No, I'm just messing. I said, y'all got me on speed
Hope it's
dial.
not
Oh,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
trip.
yeah. Come on over. Come on with us.
Miss Terry?
Just happy Valentine's Day, and thanks for what everybody does.
Well, and myself, this week, I'm at Ridgewood Elementary for Black History, 10 o'clock this coming up Friday morning for Black History, and Saturday morning, I'm at Sycamore Hill Church. I'm receiving an award at Sycamore Hill Church at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. And that's about it for, I think, the month of, no, February the 23rd and 24th, I'll be in a mayor's meeting in Lexington, North Carolina. But I'll be back the 24th for the vision setting. So I'll be back in time. But anyway, happy Black History Month. Thank you everybody for everything that they do for the town. Thank you all. And I appreciate you all the workers and everybody. We got a real good town. I mean, we got some bumps, but we'll get through them. But thank you all for what you do. With that being said,
Motion adjourned.
I got a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Chief's
Anybody
disappointed.
opposed?
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Oh,
Happy Valentine's Day.
thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Tell somebody how
Don't
special
think
you
you're
are.
not loyal.
Oh, man, you're all right, man. You're all right. You're all right. Rebecca.
Whether I'm going to church or whether I'm going to.
You can't hang out with Dom, just a little spurts, Councilman. He'll corrupt you.
That was so nice.
Yeah, I know you didn't get your wife either.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you. I'll share those with my brides. You do look pretty cool. I'm sorry, I do what you said. I actually did. She got something on Saturday. I stay out of trouble. See, I'm always in trouble, so I try to do anything I can to get myself out.
I know you did, because if you didn't, I said,
Different.